welcome to another episode of Earning the Hate. Hey, gun people, another isolated incident where government fails. They hire cops, they retain cops, so-called good cops protect these cops, cover up for them, don't hold them accountable. They start with, violating a little traffic stop, or maybe I'll stop you when I don't really see something, or maybe I'll just say I saw you run a stop sign when I really didn't because I know the judge is going to do it anyway, and then maybe I'll search your car and maybe I'll find something, and yeah, you know what, we'll all stick together, the code blue, the blue line, all that crap. You know what? Another isolated incident to where so-called good cops will come here and tell me I'm the problem for bringing this stuff to light. Remember, people, government never does anything good and efficient. This guy's had a background. He was a cop. He has ruined lives. He sent people to prison. He has enforced the laws on other people, and then he sneaks in and tries to have sex with a 15-year-old when her parents aren't home. Oh, I forgot. He started a little teddy bear thing for kids in accidents. Let's take a look at this.
This former Clay County deputy has been arrested. He's accused of sneaking into a house to have sex with a 15-year-old girl.
Okay, remember, people, every time you hear one of these isolated incidents, and I'm saying that sarcastically because it happens every day, and of course the cops will come here and go, man, it's so minor, it's such a small percentage, you're disparaging all good cops. Good cops don't like this guy. Good cops wouldn't want this hidden. Good cops would like cops like this in jail and being called out and caught sooner. That's what good cops do. So all you so-called good cops that come here and blame me for exposing this and keeping a playlist for earning the hate, you're the problem, not me. But I digress.
Clay County investigators say there could be more victims out there, and they're encouraging anyone to come forward who might have information.
Deputy Travis Pritchard.
So this is a problem which is why I think it's so much more egregious when a cop does something and then you have crooked DAs that cover for him, that let him go because they know the cops will cover for the DAs, and you get government protecting government. This guy is freaking sneaking in, and now kids that he has abused and violated and molested or had sex with now are afraid to come in because they don't know who they can trust. Because they got a bunch of good cops saying this guy's an isolated incident and we don't cover up. And, he was a really good guy and this is just, he made a mistake. Yeah, okay.
Pritchard was fired by the sheriff's office after his arrest over the weekend. News4Jax reporter Scott Johnson is joining us live from the Clay County Sheriff's Office headquarters in Green Cove Springs with what we learned about Pritchard today. Scott?
Joy, I'm still working to get a copy of his employment record here at the Sheriff's Office headquarters in Green Cove Springs after these allegations come out about sexual contact with a 15-year-old. Travis Pritchard is out at the Clay County Sheriff's Office after he's arrested by a different agency. The Green Cove...
Okay, so that's kind of key. He's arrested by a different agency. Gee. See, that's... And there's not a lot of cops that will investigate other agencies. The problem that you run into when you start investigating cops at other agencies is if your chief knows that chief and their buddies, he wants to give them a heads up. He wants to tell them, we're going to let you handle it. We're going to turn this over to you and let you clean your house so you don't look bad. There's always, you got to worry about who's who. It goes back to where I turned in that dirty DA Reisig for freaking hiding evidence. It automatically, when I turned him into the AG, one of his friends from the AG that knew one of the DAs called him and told him. So they had time to start destroying evidence and getting their lives together and start trying to dig up dirt on my lieutenant and me to say that, oh, what we're accusing of, we're really the bad guys. So that's the problem when you get into this, and that's the big problem about cops investigating themselves. I said it before. When at YoNet, you have different agencies, and I say net, any enforcement task force. You have a bunch of different agencies that come in. When one of those guys get in trouble, it has to be another agency that investigates him. That's the way it should be. IA should never be, internal investigation, internal affairs, they should never be conducted by the same agency, because the chief can dictate how the investigation goes. They can have the IA guys pull back, or they can have them push harder and make shit up. And it's not fair to good officers that get caught up because the chief don't like them. And it's also not fair to good IA investigators that would do more but were pulled back and told to back off by the chief. That's why no agency should be doing their own internals. It's bullshit. But you know what? They're all good cops. They're blue line. We can trust them. And if we just give up our guns and only allow the police to have guns, we'll be safe. Yeah, okay.
Cove Springs Police Department. GCPD arrested Pritchard on duty. He's accused of sneaking into a 15-year-old girl's home late at night.
Okay, so they arrested him on duty. The reason why that happens is usually the cops that are arresting him are like, fuck this dude. Let's get his ass on duty in uniform. We'll go book his ass in uniform since he's using it. That's what good cops do. So the cops that arrested him, I'm on their side. Okay, they could have, you know, walked a warrant through like most politicians do when they arrest lawyers and shit. You don't see them getting arrested in the middle of a courtroom and all that. No. They want to give them a citation and go, hey, we have an arrest warrant. Go turn yourself in. Do your self-booking. Keep it low-key. We're going to give you special privilege. That's bullshit. Either everybody gets arrested or nobody gets arrested. So the fact that these cops arrested him on duty, good for them. There'll be other cops. Man, they made the cops look bad, and now people see him, and that's not fair. That's not. No, screw that. Good cops are like, screw him. He used his uniform to get these 15-year-old kids into bed because his little freaking weak ass, little predator ass couldn't get laid on his own, so he had to use his uniform to pick on 15-year-old kids. Are you kidding me?
Night to have sex. Investigators say the two first met in an area. GCPD arrested Pritchard on duty. He's accused of sneaking into a 15-year-old girl's home late at night to have sex. Investigators.
Man, that's some pretty brazen shit. You're going to sneak into a girl's home at night, 15. Now, I'm assuming he knew the parents weren't there, but that's still freaking ballsy. You know why it's ballsy? Because he's a law enforcement officer, and he thinks his code brothers will help him, and he probably had a scanner or a police radio so he'd know if the cops were dispatched. I mean, this is just the low of the low.
Investigators say the two first met in an area around Clay High School and began a months-long relationship.
Met at the high school. I tell that story. We had a lieutenant in our agency who was friends with the chief that just did all kind of, you know, had kiddie porn on his freaking computer. The chief covered it up. He was always messing with the interns. They had to rehire. I mean, he was just, and then he ends up hiring his wife, who says that she should never be a cop. The agency that fired her said she should never carry a gun and be a cop. So he hires her wife. So we got the lieutenant and his wife working there, both incompetent freaking sexual predators. And he's riding around a high school in his Corvette. And he worked a job to where he could get young kids to go buy beer and stuff. So he had access to young kids, even though everybody knew he was a freaking little weasel. But I digress.
Detectives posed as the girl, which led to Pritchard sending more incriminating messages. In fact, when they set up the fake meet, detectives say it was while Pritchard was on duty. We met Pritchard last year when he spoke to News4Jax about a program CCSO started to help children involved in car wrecks.
Oh, Rick, he's giving out teddy bears. Why are you picking on his cop? He was a good cop. He just made a mistake, Rick. This is an isolated incident. Shut up, you freaking big dummy.
I stopped by Pritchard's listed address and found no one home. I also spoke with News4Jax crime and safety expert Ken Jefferson. He was not surprised that this investigation started after messages were found on the girl's phone.
These kind of crimes are generally reported by a parent or another relative of the victim because
somebody finds out and goes, what the hell is this?
The victim generally tells them something or letters being handwritten, some kind of way they'll find out.
And Green Cove Springs PD is opening up the possibility there are other victims in this case. And if there are any or people concerned, they should contact the Green Cove Springs Police Department. I asked if they wanted to speak more about that today on camera. They said they can't right now because they are working on some active leads in this case.
Okay, so that probably means there are other victims and they're trying to follow up. So, you know what? Where is this little weasel? See if I can find his picture. There we go. He was giving out teddy bears. Isolated incident. Number 44,698. It's just an isolated incident, Rick. All cops are heroes. Government does a good job. And if we only give up our guns and allow government to have guns, we will be safe. Yeah, remember that, you big dummies. We'll end it there. Earning the hate.